Hi everyone. Good day. Welcome to Switch 2020, CapitaLand sponsored segment Innovation Made Real for the Built Environment. I'm Wei Bin from TMB Ventures, and we are talking to you live in CoSpace Park right now. So today we're very happy. We have 6 BEMP startups. In case you don't know what BEMP is, it is Built Environment Accelerate to Market program. So these are all our awardees from our past 2 years of program. They are here today on a panel with me, and they are from Vibids, Espada, Chi Square, Jetronics, Vulcan AI, and VR Collab. Right, so we have all gathered them here today to discuss about the future of construction tech and how their solutions are transforming to an uncertain environment like now. So this webinar will probably give you and address some of the considerations of built environment companies, that what you should be weighing, introducing our audience to an array of potential solutions for adoptions during uncertain times. Now, let me just kick off the chat. Now, how has the landscape evolved in your field of work right now? And what are some of the new considerations in your field? Shall we start with Nilesh from Chi Square?
Hi, thanks, Vibin. Yeah, so I think it's a very interesting question. I think all of us know the key driver of the change, which is the pandemic. I think that has been a key over the last year or so.
Can you go closer to the mic a little?
Can you hear me okay now? Is that a bit
perhaps
better?
Louder?
Okay, maybe I'll need to raise up my voice. Is it better?
Yes.
Okay. So what I was saying is that the main trigger for the change, as all of us know, has been the pandemic over the last one year, I would say. And we see the changes happening. I think all of us can attest to that things have changed. The things that we used to do previously, like we are specialized in energy assessment and audits. And sometimes we need to go to the buildings to do that. Digitization definitely is a trend which is on the rise, and that in fact triggered us to also look at options to do such assessments remotely using our virtual audits methodology. And I think that trend is continuing, and I think we would probably go to a new normal after the pandemic, which encourages a lot of digitization, considering the fact that it will also save costs. So that I would say in a very quick way would be the key changes that we observed.
Right, thank you. What about Ryan from VR Collabs? What can we expect going into 2021?
For our side of things, we are actually primarily concentrated around the digitalization of the construction industry, primarily in the aspects of building information modeling, so 3D modeling of buildings, and of course, the many benefits that can come from that. So from what we have seen, not only our clients in the region, in Singapore, but even in other places, we have seen that because a lot of these governments are actually mandating BIM, despite COVID hitting our industry, they're able to utilize such data that they have created, and this in turn actually helps the continuation of certain projects. Yeah. So that is a really huge thing that we see moving forward. And actually, the digitalization of our industry might be a bit slow, but I think COVID has shown the industry that it has to be done sooner, better than later. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Right. So perhaps, before you go straight into the question, perhaps you could also do like a 1-2-liner or introduction of what your company does as well. So let's move on. What about Manik? Manik, your solution is now used in other sectors, of course, and you have recently participated in the Smart Port Challenge. That just happened like 2 weeks ago. You were the second runner-up. You were working with maritime companies. Can you give us a bit of a broad perspective of how your solutions respond to the changing needs, be it in the construction built environment sector and now this time around in maritime?
Yeah, so I mean, we actually focus on improving safety and productivity in roles which require physical work. So, I mean, if you look at the maritime sector, there also, when you look at ships, you have seafarers, which are thousands of miles from sea, and sometimes they work alone. So, and if they have an accident, and if nobody gets to know, their lives could be at risk. So One of our solution is like a smart band. So it detects automatically when you have an accident and sends an alert back. The same thing can be then extended to the port workers. And then I think it's very applicable, especially in the construction sector. I mean, this environment, I mean, the built environment, it's something which is built for people and it's built by people. So we cannot neglect, either the safety or productivity of people. And just by embedding a few sensors in the PPE, we have a better view of the safety of the people, as well as, whether they're productive or not. And once the buildings are ready, you can also sort of monitor if there is any slip, if somebody spilled a, bubble tea and it's slippery, it's a hazard which can cause an accident. So the use of sensors and AI, and I think that's through the pandemic, what really got highlighted was our dependence on workers, like people who do real physical work. So even if we talk about digitization, there are some things which just cannot be done without people. So, when the clusters came in, construction was stopped, renovation couldn't happen. And I think it brought the spotlight back into the human aspect of our business. Our economy works, for the people, and it works by the people. So the emphasis on people is just is an additional fillip for our technology, which is around wearable tech to keep people safe and more productive.
Right. And I do see a lot of synergies between the construction sector as well as the port, right? What other sectors are you also working with?
So we're also getting into, oil and gas, because safety is a big thing there. The other segment which we're looking at is also, elderly and people who are living alone at home. So think of it as a Fitbit, but for your, for the enterprise or for people who need health, assistance. So quite a few different industries where it can be expanded to.
Thank you. Thanks, Manik. So what about Espada, Charles?
Yes, hi. Yeah.
So it's been some time since I see you. What is Espada up to, and what do you think? How has it evolved going into 2021?
Well, over the several months, I think there was some heavy impact of COVID in the industry. So there were a lot of restrictions in the manner we conducted business due to the government policy, the safe distancing, and in general the staggered working hours, business continuity practices, and so on. So in this environment, companies have actually taken on innovations and been adapting with using digital solutions. So Espada has an cloud-based remote application that enables booking of real-time monitoring and material supply in the supply chain for transport logistics. So we would allow stakeholders such as site managers, their employees, clients to view the actual positioning of the stocks and the supply chain. So the travel restrictions, right, have actually in reality allowed business to migrate online, and we spend a lot more time on our devices. So we have seen the trend where communication has been shifting onto the cloud and so on. So we see that there will be more people coming into the online platforms.
So this is timely for you.
Right. Right. There's also a shift in the industry where VCA is promoting PPVCs, prefabrication module, BIM, and so on. So there are contractors that actually would be restricted by working at home and going to the sites and so on. So our solution helped these project managers trace and monitor the location, the last mile delivery throughout the building cycle, enabling them to see where the locations of their PPVCs and their materials are. So where we are heading is that we are looking into collaboration with established software partners who are really entrenched in the business, and then we are putting out APIs and so on, so that we could integrate with them and extend the value of what their existing business does with the to do GPS.
Charles, so who are your corporate clients right now, your end users, and who are adopting?
Okay, so we have been talking to companies such as Dragaj and Balsted. Dragaj is doing a project at BCA, the BCA Academy, we have actually implemented our system to enable them to track and schedule their vehicle deliveries on site. So they are able to actually monitor which are the PPVCs, and actually they have to do it in sequence. They couldn't have level 3 and with different units coming at the wrong time and with multiple contractors coming to the site. So it helps them plan and have a global real-time view of the organization of how the materials arrive on site. It helps with the efficiency of the fuel and the people and the manpower on the project site. It increases productivity, and then mainly with the remote tracking and checking and so on, the workers are able to operate independently, and safe distancing measures and all that all come into play. They are all aligned. Yeah.
Thanks, Charles.
Okay.
All right. So what about Mattia from Jetronics? Oh, you guys are definitely involved in building one of the most forward-looking building in Singapore, the Razer building. You guys are doing all the system integration work. Can you share with us on what you have done to this building, and how is this becoming more and more relevant in the current context?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jetronics is, well, it's an IT services company, but we're now focusing a lot on what we define smart spaces, or basically smart buildings. We call it smart spaces because any space with a human interaction really can become smarter. From an office to a manufacturing plant, a logistics facility, healthcare facility, hospitality, many different spaces, right? But talking about offices, where you mentioned Razer, so that's one of the buildings we're delivering in Singapore now. And what we really try to focus on, it's two things. One is bringing more operational efficiency to the building, to the way the building is managed. But specifically, we focus on trying to transform the way that people actually experience the built environment, the building itself. So from a user experience, how do we enhance that experience? And what we have seen with the pandemic especially is that there is now a lot more technologies that are taking into consideration to enhance that experience, that go from managing the access control with facial recognition, making it more seamless, but also a contactless experience. Trying to manage the visitor management system, all the visitors coming to the building, again in a contactless way with remote registration, to hot desking, within the environment, because a lot of companies are now adopting, sort of a mixed work environment where you splitting the time a little bit working from home and a little bit from the office. So we see that a lot of companies are now evaluating, smaller spaces, more dynamic. So a lot of those technologies like meeting and booking systems come into play. How do we make sure, that the social distancing is happening? So tracking people and also assets, the air quality of the spaces. So all the systems come together. We integrate them through our platform in order to allow a better experience for the end user. So a lot of the things that they would do manually on a regular basis, like again booking a meeting room or booking their seasonal parking, all that is now integrated and digitally enabled.
Right. Thank you. What about the gamification part? I mean, Razer is known for that. So there are definitely, lifestyle that has to evolve. And I heard there are like gamifications that has to be integrated within the buildings. Could you share with us on that?
Yeah, well, so we're taking care more of the building side of things more than the inside of the operations in Razer. But there's definitely some gamification that they're looking at, and that is, part of, again, the user experience, right? So everything that happens in a day-to-day user experience, with employee experience.
Well, I guess when you define built environment is a lot more complex and dynamic, right? It's not only about building the building itself. Like for example, Charles from Espada will be supplying all the raw materials and whatnot to sort of grow up to build the buildings. And then you have Vulcan AI to come together to talk about the safety of the workers. from the construction point of view, and then you talk about the energy efficiency with Chi Square coming in, and of course the BIM management, VR Collab, and so on.
Correct.
So, and then of course, built environment is just beyond just building it, and it's also about the dynamic interaction between the occupants and the tenants within the building, and that's when you talk about the lifestyle, the gamification, and basically the overall wellness, well-being of the tenant within that specific environment and context.
Exactly right. Yes, and the integration of all those, that's what in the end makes the employees feel more safe and secure, and ensure the well-being and a better experience overall for the employees in the built environment.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you, Mattia. So lastly, we have Marcus from Webits. So you guys participated in SmartPod Challenge as well. You were one of the finalists together with Vulcan AI. Tell us more, Marcus. Your technology application varies from transport, logistics, built environment, now maritime. Can you share with us on some of the potential new normal going ahead to 2021 or even more, and how does the solutions evolve to suit the needs, the business needs of your end users?
Hi, the VPIX provides smart sensing for automations in the vertical of transportation, construction, and ports, like what you mentioned. Overall, we actually see a significant slowdown in our business due to COVID-19. We also see new opportunities, for example, like automatic inspections. In construction sector, VPIX focus on two business. One is quantification of building materials, like sorting of building materials, make sure that sand replacement can be used as alternative. And also the automatic inspection of buildings and trees, built environments. So moving ahead, we see that COVID-19 actually prevent people from doing large scale using the manual labors. VPIX actually providing the technology to enable this to do automatic automation in large scale. So that is opportunity for us. And we moving ahead, we had to do it in a very competitive manner in the sense of more functions, but cheaper cost. And the way to do that is cheaper cost is to automate some of our processes internally. Meaning like previously we had to hire data science or scientists to train a model. Now we automate this process internally at VPIX.
Right. So this is also part of the cost efficiency measures, right?
Yes.
Which actually bring me to the next question. So, this is really a tough one on the topic of going global, right? Here we are, you guys are like a startup. And I know it's challenging to even grow a startup, right? And now in this climate where we have to be cost efficient, and let alone going global in the current climate. Now, I've heard of many examples of startups who have spent months and years developing overseas channels, partnership, and overseas market. And right now with the travel restrictions, all things are now put to a stop. What would you do differently? Like, anyone can answer this to ensure the survival of your companies overseas, or to ensure a strong sales and partnership channels now that you are grounded in Singapore. Any takers?
I can go first. So VPIX vision, VPIX vision is always to go global. I think we always satisfy ourselves with the global market more than the Singapore market.
It's also because Singapore market is smaller, right?
Yeah, so this is even so, the expansion is even so the case during the COVID-19. So VPIX was actually a bit lucky and fortunate to able to expand business in China right before the outbreak of COVID-19. And now we actually see our business moving faster in China than in Singapore. Having said so, as a young startup, VPIX has to be very careful and realistic in expansion or overseas expansion. We leverage on our trustworthy partners and win-win partnerships. For our overseas expansion, we started with first customer. We completed a project with the customer, regional big player in Fujian. And the project was so successful that our customer actually become our partner to resell our software to other regions in China. So imagine China is about, I think about 14,000 times bigger than Singapore. So there are a lot of business can be replicated in different regions. So our customer actually become our, effectively our salesman. Of course, they take some cuts in the business transactions. At the same time, moving ahead, VP is also looking for strategic investors. So we believe that by having a portion, a stake in our company, investor can actually help us expand business in China in a more motivated manner, not just looking for returns, but also expansion in China. That is a way to help VPs expand faster and bigger scale and with more trustworthy helps in terms of partnerships.
This is interesting on this topic, right? I know Vibits, you do a lot of sensor video analytics. You guys have a proprietary video analytics software. And how do you guys compete in China in such a competitive landscape and not fear being, replicated or, being eaten up by the big players and local players in China?
That's a very good question. In fact, this question has always been asked by many VCs in Singapore.
I guess many of us, a lot of startups wants to go China because they know the market is big, but of course there are also, implications as well. So how do you do it?
Yeah, so VPs expanded to China in the AI for transportation safety. So as we know that AI in the business of AI or AI as an enabler, the AI technology had to go to the verticals, the business use case. So we of course in a broad level we have Alibaba, we have Huawei, we have many AI company, big company like SenseTime doing all kind of application across all verticals. As a small company, the way to compete is to really focus on one area and with a good partner to give you so much data to train a super model, then you quickly load it out across to different regions. So in China, VPs focus on purely on transportation, as you had mentioned. In fact, we have encountered a few big players in terms of competition. So we have to be more competitive in terms of not just accuracy, but also the price. And going through so far in the southern China, VPs do have a very strong foothold in southern China in terms of transportation safety. We have built up the defense barrier to big companies. So for them to come in, they need to basically need to go through what VPs has gone through so far over years.
And I mean, I can add to that. I mean, what we are doing from Vulcan's perspective, I mean, we also build AI models. And instead of going to market directly on our own, we are trying to basically identify complementary, maybe software as a service vendors where our software can sit inside their application. And those guys already have existing clients and an installed base. So that sort of gives us immediate access. And then when their clients say, okay, there is new functionality in their software, I want it, and it's like $10 extra. So it's a much easier sell and an upgrade. But the only thing I wish I would have done a little bit differently is, put more safeguards around our IP protection. So we did a little bit, but we were not expecting that going through a partner channel will be our key focus rather than direct to market. So, but if I had known that, I would have protected some of our IP more by filing patents before all this happened.
It's actually, if I can continue on that topic as well, I think for us it's very similar, right? So we mainly, our main capability is an integration platform, right? So we are SIs really. So our focus is to find partners again that have those technologies that are have the best technologies that we can find on the market and partner with those companies, and that complements our offering, but also our partners' offering. So the idea is that what we're trying to do is basically build an ecosystem of partners that together offers a stronger solution, right? So even from AI that was just mentioned to any other technology that can benefit the built environment. We believe that once you go together and you already have an integrated view and solution for the customer, that brings a lot of value.
Thank you. What about Nilesh?
Yeah, I would like to share my part as well. I mean, we started with virtual audits for energy efficiency. Is my voice okay now? Am I audible? Yeah. Can you hear me okay? Can
Yes,
you hear
yes.
me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I can't really hear much from here, so perhaps you'd like to speak out a little bit.
Okay. So what I was saying is that we started with energy efficiency improvements using the virtual audits, and the main mode of expansion globally we used was to work with partners like consultants who would be working in different locations. Like we expanded in the region with Philippines, Indonesia, also in Dubai, in the UAE region as well. And eventually, what we did was we took this time of the COVID to actually develop a platform, which is actually the one which is in my background. It's essentially a 3D enabled platform where anybody can click a building and be able to do a virtual audit. So we actually changed the model a little bit to adapt to the fact that we need to globalize quicker. And that actually also helps us to do the cloud play in terms of integrating with different technologies. So like what Manik mentioned, I would actually have an offline chat with him to see, yes, we do have people and we do have customers who might be interested in your solutions. And we could actually sell that through our SaaS platform that we have now developed already. So this platform is now ready, and we launched the beta on the 1st of September for this platform. And we are the plan is to grow this platform to 10 more cities, in fact, by June 2021. So we would actually grow this platform in a way it will accelerate the use of digital technologies for buildings, because we should not be the ones doing the virtual audits. The platform could do it for anybody. So any small consultants or even a non-technical person should be able to take up the platform access and be able to do the virtual audits that we were doing in the past. So that's the one change that we had in our model, thanks to this COVID, I would say, in a way. And that also helps us in massive globalization, because now we see inquiries getting from all the way from the North Americas, Canada, New York, to say, could we develop a similar platform there with our expertise and our background scripts that we have put down there for energy efficiency. So that's, I think, one of the things that it was a positive story for us going global. And we learned quickly to say, take the time to develop on a SaaS model rather than relying on a pure consulting model.
Thank you, Nilesh. I think that platform would definitely be a game changer and will be a lever, especially in times like this. What about Ryan? You have anything to add?
I actually noticed that majority of my fellow startups here, my fellow founders here are facing more of a consultative approach to your product, right? So, AI, and as you know, our AEC industry, you can say, all of them are main contractors or all of them are consultants, building owners, but all of the organizations have varied use cases, especially as not only in Singapore, but overseas, it's very different. So on one hand, for whatever reason, I believe most of our processes when trying to acquire new clients are very consultative. They're very project-based kinds of, sales cycles, right? But for VR Collab, we have had the blessing of being able to be a sort of a SaaS startup, which is why, although we are headquartered here in Singapore, recently expanded to China, but we do have clients in like Brazil, Spain, even in South Africa. So that's the reason for that is because our, like Nilesh said, he said that moving to a SaaS product, it's more of like tagging on to something. Our software is trying to be a bit more complementary, but at the same time, we do face certain things whereby, as much as everyone is utilizing, let's say, BIM, right? But all of them use it differently. So it's a lot of, noticing the different trends, starting off with a niche use case. So initially, when we started off, we had a lot of, about 4 years back, we have a lot of interest from like the architects. But slowly after a while, we realized that we moved towards the engineering portion of things. And then, like, for example, LTA became our client. So a lot of the MRTs, the underground train stations today are actually designed with VR Collab, using VR Collab. And then through that understanding and making that product even more better for a niche market, then we were able to expand overseas actually via a SaaS way. So I guess that's our, at least my learning from the past 4 years. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I still do agree that majority of our our clients would still require a very consultative approach to things rather than just like Netflix or Spotify. It sort of sells itself. Yeah, at the end of the day, our sales guys have to really understand the client and then really talk them through the whole procedure of how to implement it and have a sustainable implementation throughout the years. Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan. Right. So
if I can add just one. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
No, I just wanted to add. No, just add to one thing there. I think that, the consultative approach. I think it's because, as you said, the technologies, a lot of the technologies that we all sell have a lot of different use cases, right? So that's why I think a lot of the time the consultative approach is the first that we all go to. But as I was saying earlier, our view, and I think it's quite aligned to what everybody's saying, is that if you can find those partnerships that actually expose you to different environments, not only through the consultative approach, but through the direct approach of actually implementing those use cases, that will help on the expansion, especially when you're looking to expand in new markets.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. All right. So to the built environment companies out there, how can your solution complement the existing built environment infrastructure we have in place today and help the companies respond to the changing needs? I mean, it's actually very relevant, or it actually has a bit of an overlap with whatever we've been discussing today. But can you actually sum it up and basically, perhaps, you can actually go one round on what exactly are you looking for in terms of customers and what is specific of ask do you have? Can we start with perhaps Manik from Vulcan AI?
Yeah, so I think, very good discussion, by the way, so far. I think we've had a combination of, system integrators, then we have point solutions, and then all of these things coming together. And I think the way we visualize it, the built environment actually can be like a living organism, right? Because you've got, it serves a function. And the function is, for tenants or visitors and for all of that, to provide them shelter, place to work and all of that. So just like our body, I guess, as an organism, it's serving different functions. And there are different senses which it has, right? So you have CCTV, which is like the eyes. Then we have, temperature sensors. So there's a whole lot of things. The built environment has more and more sensors, and then being able to understand that and respond accordingly, whether it's a repair or maintenance, or is it cleaning up of a spill, or if it's safe distancing. There are so many things which can go wrong, and just to have a sense of that. So if some of these solutions we can integrate pretty well together and center it around the lifestyle, the productivity, and basically meet the purpose, I think it can come together quite nicely. So as I hear that conversation, that's the thought which comes to me, that actually there's a lot to be done. And actually, because of COVID, I think it's just everybody has been forced to think a little bit harder and basically see where else can the technology be used. So people are coming from, they may have a solution from another sector, but they're saying, okay, built environment is another sector, and vice versa. So there is a lot of cross-pollination across sectors which is happening, and then also more collaboration within Singapore, actually, because the startups are talking to each other, the corporates are talking to startups. So I think it's a great way, and we will accelerate, I think, out of the COVID pretty well in Singapore. So I'm quite happy about that.
Thank you. What about Nilesh?
Yeah, I think, like I said, with energy efficiency, it's always going to be difficult to collect data. And that's the reason that if you look at existing buildings in Singapore, we were able to actually find data from the open source and create a map like this behind me for 10,000 buildings in Singapore. So we have actually created quick models of 10,000 buildings with basic geometries. And we are now able to give access to building owners, consultants, technology providers, as well as people who want to fund those buildings to see how they can work together on the model. So I think that's where the ecosystem becomes a bit more digital. And the SaaS model actually helps them to also defray the costs. So they don't need to spend too much of money upfront in actually investing in assessments. They can actually spend little money in assessments. If they find the right way to go further, then they can actually invest more into the actual work. So I think that's exactly how it will play out for us in the long run. Because when we expand this to more and more cities, technology providers especially would be able to see that once they've applied the solution in one building, and see the impact, we could then apply it elsewhere based on the AI script that we run behind it to see which technology fits into which building. If that can be done quickly, we don't need to wait until we go and visit the building owner. Right? We could actually start doing the assessments quite remotely. And I think, like what Manik said also, it's quite exciting to see this panel because there are a lot of complementary technologies, I would say, from different domains. So for example, we could work also with VR Collab to do more of that as actual project implementation where we do the assessment upfront. The actual project work could be done with VR Collab, for example. And I mean, I can just giving an example, but there are several such examples which could be brought up going further. And I really hope that the built environment kind of accelerates in the way where it adopts digitization to the fullest, doesn't worry too much about data, because there are a lot of Western market data privacy and cybersecurity tools coming up now. And we could accelerate the entire process of making the built environment sustainable through the tools that are available today already.
Thank you. What about Matthew?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you guys. Obviously, it's the idea that the built environment is it's sort of a live beast, right? It keeps changing and adapting, and the COVID has obviously been a great example of that. And in our view, again, the collaboration between startups and between companies to sort of meet the different requirements, different use cases that each client has, is what we see as a fundamental stepping stone to actually serve our customers the best way. So there is definitely a lot of potential for growth, I think, when we come together and we see how we can bring more value and serve our customers in a more collaborative and unified, integrated way. I think that's of a good go-to-market in this particular moment in time, especially.
Thank you. Marcus, what about you?
Okay, we looking forward. We do see the opportunity in the scale of construction sector. If you look at different verticals, construction is quite different from the other. Is massive, meaning that you have many workers doing the same task at different level, at different place. And as a tech company in Singapore, we do see the opportunity to change the way things being operated. For example, like inspection of built environment previously had to be carried out by many inspectors driving around or walking around. So by looking the way we do things, what we can propose is, can we have just the normal drivers or any workers carry a camera around, and you have all this footage gathered in the cloud and being processed by AIs, and that's what one of the product VPs offer. Basically, we can go through all the footages and videos to help to achieve what previously been carried out by inspector by experts. Now, one expert or two experts were able to review maybe 10 with our technology. That kind of efficiency gain we can achieve. So VPs is in the right view. Basically, we provide automation in the construction space. So we can help to digitize expertise and to accelerate the deployment even during COVID-19 period. Yeah.
Thanks, Marcus. What about Charles?
Yeah. Okay. In this current COVID situation, right, in this climate, there's a lot of focus in health and safety. So we see that there's going to be a new normal coming out of this COVID situation, where people are employee safety, productivity, and technology adoption will be quite a key focus. So pre-COVID, the project profitability, the OSHAs and all that were the top considerations earlier. So we still see construction material logistics as part of the essential part of the built environment, although there's a little bit of a slowdown and a stoppage of work right now. So our goal through this in the near future will be the acceleration of continual acceleration of the work processes by building more intelligent technologies, by taking feedbacks this current slowdown and from the projects, and to consolidate and build an industry in the near future, immediate future, to reduce wastages, and then looking at the real world challenges, trying to model the issues on the ground, on the use cases and so on. So we still see that in the future, carbon emissions, construction, shortening the construction cycles, aggregating the resources, right sizing of the manpower and so on will be still the key issues facing project profitability and so on, right? So business process efficiency, AI, real-time data, VR and so on, audit trials, all these technologies will still come into play. So we in future, what we are looking out for, we are looking out for collaboration partners with and tech companies who have the like-mindedness to that we could build, because Espada is actually the last mile. We're looking at the last mile delivery. We actually consolidate the information, the real-time information on the ground, to make the projects run efficiently and so on. So we're looking for tech partners upstream that we can plug into and utilize, tap onto higher value chain and benefit the end user customer. Right.
Thanks, Charles. Lastly, we have Ryan from VR Collab.
Yeah, I think for anyone watching this, if you have heard of BIM, or you heard of BIM, you need to implement BIM, you have already implemented BIM, you will always face either internally in your organization or externally with your other stakeholders, people who are not very familiar with BIM, which in turn, is a barrier to your project coordination, your technical meetings. So regardless if you're an architect, engineer, a builder, an owner authority, do reach out to us. I believe we can value add to you. We are value added to not only the consultants, the builders, but also many of the authorities in Singapore. And so that's why we are fairly confident of that. Also to our fellow collaborators, you can be our client, you can be other startups. We're more than happy to speak to you guys and to see how we can bring our industry further moving forward. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. I couldn't express how grateful I am to gather everyone here, assemble everyone here today. Thank you for your time. Now, for those of you watching right now, you hear it from the horse's mouth. It's either you, as a startup, innovate, transform, or die. Built environment, to be honest, is not the sexiest industry, right? But I see a lot of synergy, and especially with a crisis brought together change. The mindset of the end users are definitely becoming a lot more receptive to more radical changes, and so it's definitely the right time. Is a I would say exciting space to be in right now. Now, so if you're an innovator and you are interested to participate in BCA's next round of BM program, we welcome you. You can check out the website. It is called beamp.sg, right? And if you represent an end user or a company looking out for solutions that some of my startups can here today can actually potentially provide, check out the links in the banner and reach out to our panel speakers directly. All right. That's all for me. That's all from everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.